Well, top of the morning, Southern Oregon, and welcome back to the Real Estate Show. We're so happy you could join us again today. We have a spectacular show planned for you. We're welcoming Mr. John L.Scott himself, Lennox Scott. He is the chairman and company executive officer of John L.Scott Real Estate. He's very smart. He's very funny. He's very nice. And we're going to just pick his brain about the volatility in the market, what's going on in the bigger urban areas, and some predictions for the rest of the summer. It is going to be an absolutely great show. We're going to welcome Lennox Scott. He's very smart and he is our fearless leader. Before we get started bringing Lennox in, let's check quickly with the statistics for our local Southern Oregon real estate. Let's start with Josephine County. The prices year over year for Josephine County are dead even. Average price, and this is just for residential single family home, Josephine County will cost you $474,812. The number of solds closed year to date are down a whopping 65%. The number of listings in Josephine County year over year are down 14%. Our foreclosures closed this week are 0. Our short sales closed this week in Josephine County are 0. And our $1 million residential sales in Josephine County this week are 0. Jackson County year over year is down only 1%. That means you've got an average residential home in Jackson County costing $499,651. The number of solds in Jackson County year over year are down 31%. The number of listings in Jackson County are down 6%. Year over year. The foreclosures closed this week in Jackson County are 0. The short sales closed in Jackson County this week are 0. And we have $2 million residential sales closed in Jackson County this week, one for $2.5 million in Ashland and one for $1.27 in Jacksonville. Klamath Falls prices year over year are down only 3%. So the average in Klamath Falls residential is now $283,808. The number of solds are down in Klamath County 40% year over year. The number of listings are only down 3% in Klamath County year over year. We have 0 closed foreclosures this week in Klamath County, 0 closed short sales in Klamath County this week, and 0 closed $1 million properties this week closed in Klamath County. But again, those are residential numbers. So lots going on. We're looking forward to welcoming John L. Scott, leader, Lennox Scott, here in a quick minute. Do not touch that dial. It's going to be a great show. Well, welcome back, folks, to the Real Estate Show. So glad you could have you today. We have one of our favorite people in the whole world on the show today, Mr. Lennox Scott. He's the chairman and CEO, that's company executive officer of John L. Scott. Thank you so much for joining us, Lennox.
Well, thank you, Alice. And it's nice to be invited back. So I appreciate that.
Well, we just love having you on the show. You're a wealth of information and very inspiring. And we have kind of a tumultuous time now, and some folks are a little unclear about what to do with the next move of their real estate life.
Well, let's put a little perspective to the marketplace. Traditionally, real estate goes in 10-year cycles. And the first year was last year, year 2022. That was the adjustment year. This year, 2023, and into the year 2024, the market will solidify, and then it will go up for 7 years. It's happened that way every 10 years. I've been in the business 47 years. This is my 6th 10-year cycle. I caught the end of one, 4 in between, and this is the start of the next 10-year cycle. So it does follow these trends. And what happened last year during the adjustment year is that we came off historically low interest rates, pandemic low level interest rates of approximately 3%. The economists were forecasting we'd go up to 4.5% interest by the end of 2022. Well, in fact, we went up to 7%. And what it did is it backed off all the multiple offer situations. Therefore, there wasn't the price support for premium pricing above the market price because those multiple offers took it above list price. So that came off, and that was the adjustment year. This year, we're back to a strong level of sales activity intensity for new listings. Homes are selling, especially in the more affordable and mid-price ranges. And that's kind of the backdrop to where we are.
So some of our buyers and sellers are sitting back because they're thinking there's going to be another crash. So when we try to explain to them that this is a normal cycle and that we're not expecting a crash, what words of wisdoms would you have to those folks that are sitting out because they're waiting for the worst to happen?
Well, this adjustment is so unique, unlike any other one I've been involved with. Because the adjustment this time, although we are going through higher interest rates, and the Fed Reserve is trying to squash down inflation, get inflation out of the markets. What we're seeing right now, because the delta between a lot of buyers and those that refinance closer to 3%, with mortgage rates now up around 6.5%, they're just not bringing their homes on the market in the normal sequence. What's moving the market today, of course, is life events, mainly around jobs and family, and also those with big equity in their homes. They're repositioning their homes right now today because the interest rates don't affect them as much. So with that as a backdrop, there's 35% fewer homes coming on the market than normal. And that's creating so there's no oversupply of listings. So although premium pricing came off because the multiple offers went away, after that, we're back to a strong market, which is price support, especially in the more affordable and mid-price ranges. And then in the luxury price points, sellers need to position their home to be the next home to sell.
So is it possible that we could have the beginnings of another seller market happening this summer because of the low inventory?
We're already seeing this in the metro market areas of Portland and Seattle, and close to the major job centers. We're already back up to an extreme frenzy market. Multiple offers above list price markets. And Alice, as you and I have chatted, as the major metro markets heat up, it's only months away before we start to see that additional sales in the lifestyle destination market areas, such as Medford, Ashland, Bend, Oregon, the coast, as an example in the state of Oregon.
It's very interesting to watch that flow because we get a lot of people from your area in Seattle and also Portland and the bigger cities in California. And it did slow down a little bit, but we definitely have the phones ringing again, which is exciting.
Well, and by interest rates coming off the peak, the most recent peak of 7%, that's really set the stage of, okay, it's okay to move. The inflation is starting to slow down. There's a couple of major inflection points. The debt ceiling limit for the United States. They're talking about some pullback on some of the funds that were already approved. And then that's going to send a signal to the bond market. Okay, they're serious about expense containment. Also, the Fed Reserve is making comments that at some point it will pause raising rates and may actually come down next year in 24 some. That will also send a signal to the bond market. We also have a elevated spread of mortgage rates above the 10-year bond right now. Right now, it's 3 points above the 10-year bond for home mortgage interest rates. The normal is 2 points. And so when will that start to happen to go back down? Well, as these other events happen, that will. So our chief economist, Lawrence Yun of the National Association of Realtors, is predicting closer to 5.8% interest rates at year end. But in the more affordable and mid-price ranges, we know there's price support already, and we know prices are going up for sure next spring in the yearly cycle that it happens. So it's finding out what your timing is, what time is right for you, and hopefully down the road mortgage rates go down further and people will refinance at that time. So I have a saying. There will never be enough homes in the more affordable and mid-price ranges. And in the major metro areas, not necessarily yours, traffic will never get better. So those are the two items. But there's just not enough housing. So that's price support and sets the foundation, especially in a lifestyle market like you're in, where people are moving in from out of areas by choice, that prices will continue their upward trend over every 10-year cycle.
What's your opinion right now on the new construction movement and how susceptible that part of the industry is to interest rates?
Well, the new construction is backfilling the lack of supply of new resale listings in the market. Otherwise, for example, in the major metro areas, prices would even skyrocket even higher on the resale sides. But there is some relief of new construction coming on. And now with some states passing where they can have additional units on the single family lot, 1,000 square foot units. That is the supply of affordable housing in the major metro areas. That's not in all communities, but that's definitely happened to provide supply side housing for working families.
I was just going to ask you that because Oregon passed several years ago the ability to have 4 units in town statewide, first state in the union. But it's taken several years to kind of get some legs, but most people are starting to do their additional dwelling units and put their own family in, which that seems to help a little bit, but it's not the amount of houses we need for sure.
And that's fantastic. And it's not all at once, but we see this in East Coast cities. They kept providing more housing closer into the job centers or the commercial zones, and that will continue to happen. And just talking about that for a second, where we're really seeing this opportunity is on property lots that have an alley. So there's 2 points of entry or corner lots. These are fantastic for different points of entry. Extra premiums on those particular lots for the additional units.
So you're seeing that in the urban areas?
Yeah, definitely.
The alley access.
Yeah, and we're seeing duplexes being put up in the urban area, close in urban area. But we're also going to be seeing that in the rural area also, because there's only so much to develop land with infrastructure. So we'll be seeing it in some of the rural town communities also,
where they're going to start allowing more than one dwelling per tax lot.
Yes.
Wow, that'll be interesting.
Yep.
Yeah. In Oregon, we just recently were allowed to add an ADU, additional dwelling unit, up to 900 square feet in our rural district. But that was long and hard coming.
Yep. And that's this is the only solution to affordability is supply. You can't buy, government can't buy enough units to provide affordable housing. It's just way too costly. It needs to be a public sector movement with the support of the government for zoning to be able to have affordable housing.
And it does seem that some of the municipalities are a little bit more on board with allowing some of this development where before they weren't, because of the housing shortage. So it's a good time to write to your Congress people, huh?
Yes, and housing supply supports economic development. For the corporations that provide the jobs, that provide the resources for the community. It's all totally integrated concept all throughout.
So looking out into the future, do we see a little bit more balanced with housing supply versus need, maybe 2 and 3? If we're just beginning another cycle, what are we seeing in the future?
Well, again, I don't think we'll ever have enough homes in the more affordable or mid-price ranges where 70-80% of the transactions take place. There's the Northwest, just the economic engines we have up here, the livability, especially in Paradise where you are, the lifestyle destination market is such an attraction that for the nation and for the region of being.
We're talking to Lennox Scott, our fearless leader of John L.Scott. He's the company executive officer and chairman of John L.Scott. We're so happy to have you on. We only have a couple minutes left before we have to take a break. But for people getting ready for the spring selling season, because we are kind of on a seasonal curve, what advice would you give sellers to be particularly conscious of in this kind of a market?
Well, what you're bringing up, Alice, is we consider there's 6 phases to the yearly housing cycle. And they go in 2-month increments. The first phase is the new year kickoff right after the first of the year. And January 1 is the low point of unsold inventory. Buyers come out of the woodwork after the holidays, and there's very few properties that come on the market. That's when you get your biggest boost in prices, is always in the spring. Then we always the new year kickoff, and then into the spring, which is March and April. Because of the demand is higher than the supply of unsold homes and those coming on the market. As we get into pre-summer, which we consider May and June, that's the high point for new resale listings coming on the market. And in this year, in the more affordable and mid-price ranges, there's a shortage of inventory on the market. Because there's 35% fewer homes coming on the market, there's a shortage available, and the demand is there as buyers accept the interest rates not being at 3%, that anomaly, a 3% interest rate, but at a very good interest rate scenario in the 5s and 6s. There's buyer demand. Buyers are resilient, especially in the more affordable and mid-price ranges.
We're going to have to pick that up after a quick word from our sponsors. Do not go away. We're talking to Mr. Lennox Scott. We want to say a quick thanks to our sponsors, John L. Scott, Ashland, and Medford, the local Rogue Valley Association of Realtors known as RVAR, and Guy Giles, Neutral Mortgage. Thank you all for bringing this show every week. And just a quick reminder, it will be aired again on the same station, KCMX 99.5, tomorrow, Sunday at 6 p.m. Don't go away. Well, hey, Southern Oregon, welcome back to the Real Estate Show. We're talking to one of my favorite people in the whole world, Mr. Lennox Scott, company executive officer and chairman of John L. Scott. Thanks again for being with us.
Well, thank you, Alice.
Right before the break, we were talking about the 6 cycles. Could you elaborate on that? It's quite interesting.
Yes, the 6 phases to the yearly housing cycle. We were just starting out talking about the new year kickoff for January and February, the spring market, which is March and April. That's the biggest price boost every year, happens during that time. And then in May, typically, May and June, the pre-summer market, that's when you get the most listings coming on the market, homes for sale. This year, it's fewer, and the buyers are more resilient than the number of homes coming onto the market. So there's great price support in the more affordable and mid-price ranges, where 80% of the transactions take place. And then we get into summer, which is that July and August, great months, high level of homes going under contract. That will continue through summer. You're in a lifestyle destination market. People come in during the summer. They want to be part of the community. Then the fall market, that is September, October. The number of new listings starts to drop down. Normally September 1 is the high point for unsold inventory, but the listings drop down. This year in the more affordable and mid-price ranges, we're going to have a shortage of unsold properties as we get into the fall. And then the winter market is November, December. The number of listings goes down so dramatically. Again, the buyers are more resilient than the number of listings. And then we get to the first of the year, the new year kickoff again. And January 1st is the low point of unsold inventory, and that's why you have the price boost right after that, because buyers coming out of the woodwork after the holidays. So it's very predictable how the year flows. And although we're down 35% in number of new listings on the market, it's following the normal seasonal pattern.
That is so interesting.
Yeah. And so in the major metro areas, we're at an extreme frenzy market right now for and the more affordable mid-price ranges, and even into the upper end. Only the luxury has a low supply of homes available. So where 90% of the transactions are taking place, we're at extreme frenzy, multiple offers, premium pricing. And when we get to September 1st this year, we're going to be virtually sold out. So prices are only going to go up over the winter and into next spring in those price points, while they're very strong strong to very strong in the Southern Oregon marketplace.
That is so interesting. So you're getting over full price offers and multiple offers again, and we haven't seen that for a while since the interest rates went up, but it's here we go again.
As the major metro market areas heat up, San Francisco, Portland, Seattle, it's coming your way in the months ahead.
Well, and the remote worker is more popular now, and it's not as odd as it was considered a couple years ago. Are you seeing some of that in your area as well?
Yes, we're starting to see a couple corporations where the employees are coming back a couple days a week for networking meetings, more of a type of deal. They're still doing most of their work from home, but they're having conferences as they come in for a day or two. But remote from work in the tech sector is still big. And that really changed the dynamics in the Northwest when the pandemic hit, individuals being able to work from home. And it sure spurred on your market area for a couple of years there. And it's still in play.
And you know what is interesting is the Starlink satellite internet, the high-speed internet from Elon Musk, that the people in our rural districts who didn't have high-speed internet, it added $75,000 to $100,000 to their sale price. And
wow.
Yeah. So it's the remote worker and the satellite kind of all coming together at the same time. And it's hard to keep those houses on the market because everybody wants them now because they can Netflix.
Where they have lifestyle and technology at the same time.
Yeah, isn't that
connected?
Something? Yeah, sorry, so I digress.
Yeah.
So one of the other things we wanted to talk to you a little bit about was if someone can run the numbers for their 3% loan that they have on their existing house, but all the appreciation, how would you explain that to a seller, just doing the math, that they might actually be able to do a move up kind of purchase right now and not have as big of a mortgage as they think just because the interest rates are higher?
Well, what's moving the market right now, a big part of it is those with equity in their home, those that have been in their home 5 years or more, or retiree or seniors. They have 50% equity, and many have 100% equity. And so now is an opportunity. They can reposition themselves, and it's really looking to where are you going to, and what is the price of the home? Are you able to take your equity, and are you going straight across? Are you downsizing? Are you getting closer? And what's the reason why you're moving? Is it closer to family and friends, or for environment or health? For that group of the retirees and the seniors, but they're in play right now because they're able to move and to other communities, especially in the lifestyle destination markets haven't heated up to the extent of the major metros. So you have people moving from the major metros into your market areas right now. It is that opportune time for them to purchase.
So if your market is heating up, then it would be easier for the sellers in an area like ours to accept a contingent offer from something in Seattle. It would be less risky then. Is that part of the process?
Oh, definitely. As a listing broker of a house in your market area, communicating with the agent that's working with them in their current home, and get the competitive market analysis, get an understanding of the intensity of the market. In our company, we have a market update of each market area throughout the 3-state area, so you can see what the trends are for that area and that price range of what is the intensity of homes going under contract. To be able to make a recommendation to the seller. Here's the facts of what's going on. It is okay to take a contingent offer you've communicated and looked at the stats.
Yeah, so that's super exciting. If the urban areas are in a frenzy market and their prices are going up, and then the folks here have more equity, then that really is kind of a low risk situation for a seller out of the area to take a contingent offer from an urban area.
I really like what you're bringing up, Alice. What it shows is that for sellers, especially in the metro areas, they're a little skittish about putting their home on until they find their next home. We actually call that seller gridlock, because their current home sells too fast and they're not ready. They haven't found their next home yet. So this helps the market move forward, and you're bringing up a really good market condition to allow somebody to put under contract their next home and get their current home sold. Plus, that increases motivation, because when they're going to a lifestyle destination market, that's by choice. They really want to be there. They're able to secure their next home. They're going to get their current home sold. So you're really bringing up a nuance to the market.
Well, it makes it exciting. I hadn't heard seller gridlock, but that's perfect. That's exactly how it feels. Okay, so when folks are getting their house ready to sell and timing the market, what other piece of advice do you have?
Well, we get the question on occasion, when's the best time to sell? And our answer is when the timing's right for you. Because it's okay to buy and sell within same market timing at today's market price. So you're either buying and selling in the spring, or you're buying and selling during the summer, or during an adjustment, you might be a little bit lower. You're buying and selling within same market timing at today's market price. It's okay to do that. And it's really just looking at where are you going to, what's your motivation for moving, and just taking a look at, having a consultation with your broker associate about those items, because your broker associate is a more of a consultant, a counselor, a transactional expert in getting helping you move forward in the next phase of your life.
So timing the market is something people do try to do, and that's not a good idea, because it's not about the market, like you're saying. It's about your life and when you're ready.
Yeah, especially when you're moving within same market timing, both buying and selling. It just comes down to what's right for you to move forward.
And we've had more success lately with helping sellers get their homes market ready, getting it nice in the front, nice on the inside. One thing we haven't talked about is John L.Scott has a program to help sellers with some repairs and getting their house ready. Do you want to speak to that a little bit? Because it's kind of new.
Right. So not only our broker associate does the consultation on getting your, we call it 5 rights make a sale: house right, yard right, price right, marketing right, and the right listing broker associate to represent you. 5 rights make a sale. But what we're talking about here is house right and yard right. And there's certain items that you can take on yourself to improve the appearance. One of the easiest ones to add value is get your yard right, especially that front yard, because you might feel like $1 million walking up to the house. The house is the house in the price range, but you want to really feel good at walking up and say, I could live here. That's market presence. And then, of course, inside the home, it's of course clean. It's decluttering. It's getting some bins and putting some things away, creating some spacing, and your broker associate will help you on the counseling on that. On occasion, what you're bringing up, Alice, is there are some bigger items, and we have a program called Market Ready Plus, where you're able to have access to resources to be able to fund some of those items. Maybe it's changing out a countertop or a carpet or painting certain areas that cost some additional dollars. It's paid back at closing, and there is responsibility for paying the money back, but it really brings the value out in the marketplace, especially when you're competing with other unsold properties and homes coming on. Depends upon the area and the price range that you're looking at to about how much you really want to move forward for doing this. But buyers in today's market, especially, they want to see a home that's market ready to be able to move into. So that it has more importance in today's market.
It really does. It used to be back in the old days that people were willing to buy a fixer-upper and work on it over time, but that's not the case anymore.
No, we're not seeing that quite as much, especially with a little bit higher interest rates. Buyers are wanting that home to be more complete at this time.
Well,
And
sorry, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Okay, I was just wanted to talk a little bit about pricing for a second also. And we have a John L.Scott term, it's a trademark to us, called sales activity intensity. And when selling a home, the best chance to sell your home at the best price is the first 30 days. And so that's what we really look at. What percent of homes are going under contract within the first 30 days they're on the market? And we look at each individual property. How many sell the first week, second week, third week, the first 30 days, so that we can see the trends of what's going on by individual price range within each market area. And this really helps give information to the seller to be able to make a decision on, okay, I really want to move at this time, or I want to get my home positioned to get it sold because I'm going forward of what I want to accomplish. Also, it shows like in the major metro areas here, prices are going up. They adjusted last year, and the press keeps talking about year over year median home price reduction. Well, that happened last year. That's 8 months ago. Right now, prices in the more affordable mid-price ranges in the metro areas are going up, and in your area, there's price support. And there might be a few multiple offers in the more affordable, where 50% of the homes are going under contract. So it just depends on each area, each price range. But the sales activity intensity, this indicator, really showcases what's going on in the market for pricing momentum, or do I need to get it priced more solidly to get the next sale in the market?
So that 30-day time frame is super important to get your house under contract and sold in the first 30 days.
It sure is, especially because when you launch a new listing onto the market, you do have buyers already in the market looking, and they're the ones most apt to put an offer in on the property. Not that we market to buyers that come in the market 2 weeks after you launch. But there's not quite the same momentum as you have right when you bring a listing on. I want to talk about the luxury market also for a second. In the luxury market, there's low supply of inventory or healthy supply. And so you need to position as a seller to be one of the next ones to sell. And we like to put out to have a seller peer group. And so your particular home in price range, you might have another 6 or 7 homes that are also on the market in that area and price range. Well, that's your peer group. So it's really finding out what's going on in my peer group and really looking at it each week. This is what happened in my peer group. One new listing came on. Maybe there were no homes went under contract this week. There was a price reduction. But then over the month, maybe there was 1 or 2 homes went under contract, 2 came on, 2 price reductions. So you can get a framework, a scope of what's going on in the market to make the decision of when the timing is right for you to get positioned to be the next home to sell. So that's what we call seller peer group. And when we sell our home, we always look at the seller peer group, what happened the month before we are bringing our home on the market, and then what's happening each week, and then a monthly review for any adjustments that we need to make if we're not under contract.
And the luxury market is an indicator of sorts. We just started selling our luxury homes again at a bigger clip just in the last 2 weeks. It's kind of exciting. So we're tracking that every week, and having a peer group with the seller and watching what's happening in their area is super important.
Yes, definitely. And yes, we're seeing this everywhere, a healthy sales activity in the luxury space. There's a more unsold inventory in that space, but there's a healthy sales activity. So it's just positioning your individual home in the right framework to get it sold.
So maybe the worst is over. The market may have absorbed all these changes, and we may be positioned to move on to another seller's market.
Well, the buyers are coming your way over the months ahead from the major metro areas. The interest rates will be coming off, and that's an inflection point. We also know that the stock market at some point is going to be poised for a real breakout. I don't know if it'll go up or down between then, but that's another signal that the Fed Reserve is stopping raising interest rates. The business community feels confident in moving forward, and the public also.
Let's see, we've got a couple of other questions about John L. Scott working in the community. We have amazing foundation that you're very much involved with. We've got a few minutes left in this segment. Can we speak to what John L. Scott is doing?
Well, we get involved with the community throughout the company, our broker associates, our support team, our leadership team. And we've taken on a project called through a entity called the John L. Scott Foundation. We all contribute to the John L. Scott Foundation, and 100% of that money goes to help sponsor events in local communities to help raise money for children's health care. And so we take on all the administrative costs as a company so that 100% of the money stays local. So we help sponsor 30 events for 18 children's hospitals throughout the 3-state area and into far North California, the Siskiyous there. So and then each of our offices also get involved with the local community. But let's talk about the foundation for a second, sponsoring these events. And also we serve 50 dinners at Ronald McDonald House.
Wow.
And what this is all about is experientially being a contribution to others. And in fact, this supports our core value. Our statement is living life as a contribution. That's our core value at John L. Scott. And this is how we experientially express ourselves. And not only we get this learning of our being, but it's being a contribution to our clients, supporting our teammates, friends and family, community, and place of faith. We get involved, and it's just having a positive work environment.
It really does make a difference. And I don't know of many other real estate companies that have that core value as well as that cooperative vibe. Really, really amazing. For the hospital work that's happening, do we have any future events coming that we can announce? We didn't even talk about that, sorry. Do we have anything coming this year?
We every year we'll, for the John L. Scott Foundation, every year we help sponsor 30 events. And by bringing in our energy and our resources, it just supports the events and gets exposure to invite the public to engage. And that's what this is all about. These sponsorships is inviting the public. People want to give. We have such a giving community in the Northwest, and they attract towards different items. And this is just one of those that really makes a difference in the lives of those kids and their families.
And I think the public is not aware of how active real estate folks are in the communities and how much they do, not only through foundations like John L. Scott, but also National Association of Realtors is very active in that.
Well, definitely all across the board. But what I'm so impressed is each individual broker associate within the company and within the real estate industry getting involved in the community. We work and we're involved, we live in our communities. So we just naturally get involved because that's just our expression and way of being.
And it's such a personal thing to help someone with their life change through a home or an investment purchase or sale, and getting to know people intimately. Sometimes you find out that they do need a little bit of help, and real estate agents often do step up and help contribute, not only as volunteers, but also some of their commission checks to communities, foundations like what John L. Scott has.
Yeah, one of the great joys of life is being a contribution to others.
Well, lots of good news. Thank you so much, Lennox Scott, the company executive officer and chairman of John L. Scott. We all love being part of the John L. Scott family and appreciate your time.
Well, thank you, Allison. All the best to you.
You too. Bye, folks. Have a good weekend.